Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners, macabre murders, and captivating crimes from across the centuries, and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 152!
It is. How much alliteration can we get into that intro?
More.
There needs to be more?
More. It is my thing.
What happens when we get to like season 8 or something like that?
I will still find more alliteration. There are always enough words.
There are. I don't know, we might run out of words.
No, you'll never run out of words. I always say that to people. When teaching copywriting, I say there's enough words in the English language.
There are
don't
enough. There
frickin'
are
repeat.
at least 12.
And they're good ones.
And they're good words.
And there are also 20 that are a little bit rude. How are you, Nick?
I'm alright.
Yay. You ready to go? You happy?
Always.
Yeah. You've had a pre-cocktail cocktail.
Yes.
Which is pretty curious.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's almost should have been a cocktail on the show, and maybe it will be. But
Maybe it will be one day.
I think you should explain it.
Well, I was going through the book, going, yeah, now it has become habit to have a pre-cocktail cocktail.
Yeah, Negroni.
Yeah, so, to get us in the mood for exciting recording. And I thought, I'm going to have a Boulevardier.
Delicious.
Negroni variant. I thought I'm going to do that. And I was just reminding myself of the quantities on the old Google. Another one came up. The banana Boulevardier.
Which sounds ludicrous.
Which sounds dreadful.
But
it's bloody marvellous. Yeah.
I mean,
really impressed. Desperate to get rid of that banana liqueur that's been in the cupboard since like episode 3 or something.
I mean, if at 2 years it's been in the cupboard.
Yeah, at least, if not 3 years.
Yes, there it was.
Who'd have thought banana and bourbon?
And it's the perfect accompaniment.
Really good.
You gave me a little sip. You donated a little sip to me at the end of a knife.
Yes.
Got that sort of caramelized, burnt banana feel with the bourbon. It's perfect.
What's good.
No, that's now going to get rinsed through, that banana liqueur, isn't it?
It's going to go down pretty quick.
And then you're going to be ordering crates more of it.
That was a surprise.
Feeling good? You're feeling happy?
Absolutely. I need another one.
You're bananaed up?
Bananaed up. fully bananaed.
Any poisonings this week?
No.
No?
No.
You sure?
Don't think so.
You don't seem sure.
Well, it's all this week has been confusing.
You have been very confused this week.
Very confused this week because it's been a bank holiday and I've been off work and then I was at work and I was at work when I shouldn't have been at work and then I got very confused and I don't know what day it is or where I am.
And then you poisoned a sofa and then sat on some poison.
So yes, so it's very complicated. So I think today is Wednesday when it's actually not, it's Thursday. And then tomorrow's Friday, which is great because it's meant to be Thursday.
And this obviously comes out on a Friday, so now you're confusing all the listeners.
I have no idea what's going on.
And also there are listeners listening to this in future and they're going, what day is it? What is happening?
So yeah, so that's why I'm confused.
Okay, good.
But it's almost Saturday, so hooray!
Whenever you're listening to this, it's good. Get some banana liqueur.
Get some bananas. Get some bananas in, that's what you need.
Well, speaking of getting some potassium into you and not knowing what day it is, I think it's time for us to thank our delicious Patreon subscribers.
We should indeed. We have one more Patreon joiner this week. Thank you so much. Stacey Ray Daniels for joining us. I hope you're enjoying all the Patreon shenanigans.
Oh, it is a delight to have you with us. And yes, we got a bit mysterious.
Yeah, you and your creepy, weirdly ways.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the episode I've wanted to do for so long.
Yeah.
And yes, it is on Patreon because we thought, it's Patreon rather than main one.
I'm struggling to see the criminess.
Well, apart from you completely siding with crime on this one, we did delve into the Dyatlov Pass incident. And yes, because it's a mystery. It's a mystery. So is it crime-based? But you were 100% behind. The military did it! Military!
Well, yes, indeed. Yes.
Well,
it wasn't aliens.
Wasn't it, though?
No, it wasn't. No.
I do like on Patreon, again, like loads of the Patreons like jumping on, I think it was this, I think it was this, and one lone voice going, I do think it was paranormal. Screw all of you.
You crack on, love.
So many things. A very, very chilling story in a chilling setting, in a chilling way, it was told.
It was chilly.
But that's what we get up to over there on Patreon. We get to do more modern stuff. We get to do a little bit more mysterious things. It's always fun. So if you are interested in getting more hits of the Poisonous Cabinet every week, please join up to our Patreon. It is completely flexible. $5 a month. There's a higher tier for more monthly episodes and special gift packs. And that's what we do.
That's what happens.
That's what happens.
Yes, having a chat.
Yep.
Wanting more banana cocktails.
Well, Nick, are you ready?
For another banana cocktail.
For another banana cocktail? Woohoo. I'm worried how the banana additions to all the cocktails we like will progress.
Everything's now going to have bananas.
To drink cocktails and talk about poison?
Yes, I want a cocktail.
Okay. Oh, we could drink poison and talk about cocktails, but we could put some banana liqueur
Is it
in
banana poison?
the poison. It could be
Banana poison.
banana poison.
Poison for bananas, or poison that tastes like bananas.
Oh, that's a very good point.
Yeah, that's a think of that one.
What is a poison for bananas? Banana plants can walk.
They can.
They can. They
creep
move.
around.
They move a few inches every year.
Yeah.
And they sort of scuttle around on their little
Sneak
legs.
into bedrooms in the middle of the night. Steal all your precious jewels.
Should we go with the first one?
Yeah, whatever that was. Let's do that.
Yeah, okay, let's go with that. Let's drink cocktails and talk about poison.
Yes.
Hooray, hooray, hooray.
Hooray, hurrah, hooroo.
It is Nick's story this week, but we can't possibly have a story without a cocktail in hand. As you know, dear listeners, every week we choose a secret ingredient that is inspired by the tale that we tell, and it will flavour our cocktail of the week.
Yes.
And this week's secret ingredient is...
Jewels.
Jewels.
Jewels. So sparkly.
Shiny jewels.
Shiny jewels.
I don't know why we're making that sound so evil and mysterious.
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing in like kids' films that you'd see people trying to bribe children with
Absolutely,
like
yes.
a handful
a big
of jewels.
handful of jewels.
Yeah.
I've got that vision of that. You know the scene of the Goonies.
Oh my god, I was just thinking that. I
They
was
empty
just
the
thinking
marble
that.
bag, and it's like it's a bag full of jewels.
I was like, he's going to say the Goonies, isn't he? He's going to say the Goonies because they empty out just coloured rocks that are shiny.
No, they're jewels.
The jewels, precious jewels for
Precious,
you.
precious jewels.
Precious jewels. Okay, so jewels. Okay, this is exciting because now I think people are going, ooh, okay, jewels, opening up the crime possibilities there. So with jewels, the family jewels,
Yes,
what have you come up with?
I have come up with. It's a favourite of mine.
Okay.
It's one I've been wanting to do on this show for a long time, and now I have the chance.
Okay.
We're having a bijou.
A bijou. Oh God, why? Okay. What? Okay, I'm gonna ask a question. Bijou, jewels.
Bijou means jewels. It means jewel.
It does.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, bijou is jewel or trinket.
Oh, so when someone says it's bijou, it's a
bijou,
bijou little
yes.
flat that's adorned with jewels, resplendent with
Resplendent.
sapphires.
Yeah.
Okay, the bijou. It is a favourite of Nick's. I think I know what's in it. I don't want to talk about it. I think it is high time for us to slink into the poisonous cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm. So we'll see you in a minute.
We'll see you in a bit.
And we're back.
Hello.
Well, Nick, we have a bijou.
The bijou.
Bijou. We've all learned something today. That
Yes,
it means
indeed.
jewel, small and elegant.
Small and elegant jewels.
Oh, like me, except not elegant or jewel, like small.
Small, yes.
And also, everyone noticed on the picture, I was shocked that Nick does not have a collection of jewels.
Yes, and yes. I don't know why you're shocked that I don't have.
I just picture you not wearing them, but just sort of laying back on your bed and sort of fondling some, like a handful of diamonds and pearls and stuff, like a king.
Right. Yes. You have strange visions of what I get up to of an evening.
I do picture you as a medieval lord a lot. Not for fun. I just think that's what Nick's doing
That's
right
what Nick's
now.
doing right now, yeah.
So I just had to put my engagement ring next to it and go, "This is a jewel." Ooh.
It's a jewel. Ooh.
But a bijou. Oh, and it's fancy. You've made an accoutrement.
I have maraschino cherry. That looks jewel-like.
It is jewel-like.
It's
I like
jewel-like.
it, like a ruby. And with the top hat, little cocktail stick, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Now, a bijou, I know you love this.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling there's something in it that I
There are
shall
things in
not. Recently, you gave me a sip of it, and I went, oh, okay. So let's see what happens.
Okay. So
I may have dreamt that. Let's dive in
Yeah.
to the bijou. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I think that is
It's
utterly delicious.
It starts so well, Nick. And I'm not making this up. It starts so well because it's... I actually don't know what's in this, but I know there's some chartreuse in there. Like, I know because it cannot hide from me. I am a bloodhound for these things.
Yeah.
But it starts off... I don't know if it's bourbon or whiskey based or anything, but and with maraschino, I'm assuming because of the cherry, so there's a sweetness. Like, oh, okay. And then just as you lull yourself into a false sense of security, that twiggy flavour comes through right at the end. And you go,
come out.
oh, and it's that medicinal twiggy bollocksy shit. Sorry. Maybe it'll get better on the second sip.
Apparently it got worse on the
It got
second
worse.
step.
I'm sorry. Oh God! I thought, for some unknown reason, I thought I'd swill it around my mouth. Don't do that. To really enjoy the flavors.
It's not mouthwash.
No, is I should enjoy the flavors with wine and it's intensified it. Don't do that. It's just like 20 seconds afterwards.
I think we may need to make a Sinead new drink. She might explode.
I don't know. Well, because then you get to have two. So.
Oh no!
All right,
What a shame.
talk us through it because everyone's going, what? Tell us everything. I'm going to eat the cherries.
Eat the cherries.
Well, you talk us through what
I love
you've
this
done.
drink.
I know you do.
I know. I'm sorry. This is one of my absolute favourites. I love this one. It's incredibly simple. So you have a gin,
Eh?
red vermouth, green chartreuse, and some bitters. That's it.
It hasn't got maraschino in it.
No maraschino in it.
Oh, so you only put the maraschino cherries in there to make them look jewel-like.
Thing is, it does usually have a maraschino garnish.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so everything I said at the beginning was bollocks.
So there's no,
I have no taste buds, clearly.
There's no whiskey or bourbon or maraschino in there, no.
No? Well, there we go. Shows what I know.
Now this is the modern version of it, because this is a classic going back to sort of Savoy cocktail, goes right back. And the original recipe for this calls for equal parts of each. It actually calls for a third of a wine glass of gin, a third of a wine glass of chartreuse, and a third of a wine glass of red or sweet vermouth.
And now we know why people died back then, quite young.
So this has actually got a lot less chartreuse in. Reduced
Has
the
it?
chartreuse. Yeah.
Has it?
So I wish I had made an equal quantity as one, because Sinead's head would have exploded by now.
Already, it's...
As you can tell, I love this. Sinead hates it, and I knew she
so
would. I knew she
sorry.
would. But I'm so glad I've got to make one on the show, because I love it.
You love it, and every now and then you should have something you love and you can enjoy if you are the master mixologist, and you can have two now. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I don't know what it is. It's like green chartreuse triggers some sort of reflex action in me. Not just wanting to puke, but it's like I want to spit venom. I don't know why. It's like, I can just feel it building. You were talking the whole time, and I was like,
I'm going to punch him. I'm going to punch him. I'm going to punch him. Go knock back some tequila.
Can I? I can't finish it. It would be wasted on me. I wouldn't enjoy it, and it would be pointless. So here you go. He has 2 drinks
Okay.
for your
no!
episode.
Oh no! What a shame.
So this may end up being a drunk episode. I am going to pause and make a new drink.
Go on then.
Okay. Doodly-doo. Doodly-doo.
Right.
Doodly-doo.
Traitor has got
Doodly-doo.
another drink.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. You know
You're
what?
not sorry.
I'm not going to apologise for me being me.
Well, you should.
Wow. Well, I'll be bringing that up in therapy later this week. If only I had a therapist who would take me. You made the Boulevardier with banana. I wanted in on that.
You did.
And I'm going to sip it.
Yeah.
Oh, now that is what I'm talking about.
That is what a real drink tastes like.
That is what a real drink tastes like. It doesn't have twigs. It doesn't make you die inside.
Bananas are jewel-like.
All right, so we have our many drinks in hand.
Yeah, a great number.
Nick has 2 bijoux in hand. Woohoo, he's having a party.
Yep.
I have a banana Boulevardier.
Yep.
Is it time for a story?
It certainly is.
Yay!
So now we have expanded our repertoire slightly.
We have.
Have all manner of rogues and scoundrels throughout history that we can talk about, we can draw upon. And today I've done one of my favourites.
Yay!
My favourite people. You know I like my history. Going back a bit here. We're going back a bit to the 17th century.
Oh, marvellous!
17th century. To discover the story of the excellently named Colonel Thomas Blood. Colonel Blood.
Colonel Blood.
Now, someone actually mentioned this on, I think it was on Facebook or Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you posted the Jules ingredient, someone said, I hope it's Thomas Blood. And I was like, oh, you guessed. Well done, you. This is a man who a contemporary once described as having not only a daring, but a villainous, unmerciful look.
A daring, villainous, unmerciful look.
Yeah.
That's a lot in
It's
one go.
Absolutely. Indeed,
Right.
it's a lot on the look. Colonel Blood, he's a schemer. He's a thief. He's an assassin. He's a master of disguise. And he's able to talk himself out of fucking anything.
I love him already.
Yeah. So he is born in 1618 in County Meath in Ireland. His father is a very wealthy blacksmith who owns many, many parcels of land and things as well in neighbouring counties.
Huge tracts of land.
Huge tracts of lands. On his mother's side, his grandfather is a member of the Irish Parliament. On his mother's side, who lives at Kilnaboy Castle in County Clare.
Lovely.
So, yeah, grandness on various sides. He has a very good education, respectable upbringing. People have high hopes for his future. He's going to go and do good things.
Is
He's
he?
going to go great things, they think. He's going to be marvellous.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
at this point.
At this point, when he's a child, everything is fine.
Generally, that is
Yeah.
what happens.
And it's going to be good. He's going to be fine.
If you look at a child and go, things are not going to be fine, then we get into we need to talk about Kevin kind of territory.
Yeah. Then we have the outbreak of the English Civil War, 1642. Thomas Blood is now 24 years old. He rushes to England to take up arms with the royalist forces. He is going to defend his king. He's going to defend Charles I against these crazy parliamentarian types. As the conflict sort of progresses, Thomas starts to see that things aren't really going the king's way.
No.
Things aren't going too well. And Thomas doesn't really fancy being on the losing side. He was going, no, I don't want any of that. So he turns around and says, Parliament, yeah, I love Parliament. I love Parliament. Love Parliament, me. He declares his love for Oliver Cromwell,
God.
all things parliamentary, and becomes a lieutenant in Cromwell's Roundhead army. So due to his knowledge of royalist plans and schemes and troop movements and all this sort of stuff, Thomas is assigned to the Commission of Peace, which is a rather dubious named, basically a big gang of spies.
Yeah.
And they are charged with sort of subverting royalist activities and generally making as much of a nuisance of themselves as they can. Thomas Blood is a natural at this. He is excellent about making a nuisance of himself. He has a huge talent for sneaky underhand shenanigans.
Such as,
well, he's very good at making plans and plotting sort of activities. Goes out of his way to sort of waylay shipments of royal supplies and arms and monies and things. So yeah, he sort of attacks these convoys. But rather than just going, look, I've got all this stuff, here you go, Mr. Cromwell, he goes, I'll have a bit of that, and I'll have a bit of that, and I'll have a bit of that. Oh, look, you can have the rest. They didn't have as much as we thought.
we really didn't. I'm so sorry.
Yes, they had half as much stuff as we thought they had, playing both sides against the middle and making a nice tidy profit. When the last of the remaining royalists are eventually defeated, Charles has had his head chopped off. Thomas makes sure that everyone knows how instrumental he has been defeating the royalists, how much danger he's put himself under, how courageous he's been for the cause, for the parliamentarian cause.
Lovely.
And in recognition of his service, Cromwell makes Thomas Justice of the Peace and grants him a large estate in England, again, huge tracts of land in Ireland. Reward for his service. It's also around this time that Thomas gives himself a promotion and starts calling himself Colonel.
Nice. Okay, just calls himself Colonel.
Yeah, in the army, he had never gone above Lieutenant, but Lieutenant, you're not going to get a huge amount of respect. No. Lieutenant sort of thing. General, might be a bit much. Might be a bit fancy.
Commodore.
Too
far.
Too far. Colonel's good weight, good rank. No one's going to ask too many questions. Colonel Blood sounds bloody awesome.
Colonel Blood does sound very, very good. It's better than anything else.
Yeah, so it sounds really cool. So he goes, right, okay, I'm going with Colonel Blood.
Major Blood seems a little bit more like an action rather than a name.
But alas, the good times are not to last.
Surely not.
Surely not. Well, they last about 7 years. The jolly fun times last about 7 years. But then in 1660, sort of the English experiment with republicanism sort of slightly falls apart.
Kind of goes, oh no.
We want a king. We want a king. Cromwell, you've got a bit mad, mate.
You're a little bit off track. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. We should not have put him in charge.
No, indeed. Along comes the Restoration. Charles II is ferried out of exile. Please be our king. Please come back and be the king.
Shoved in there.
And
Get on there.
they put him on the throne. Those that had supported Cromwell are now making themselves scarce.
Just backing out of the room very slowly.
Backing out of London slowly.
Don't make sudden movements.
Or they're doing some major grovelling.
Really, sorry.
Really. I did know what I was doing. He was really handsome, and I just don't know.
I was caught up in the drama.
Yep.
The drama. I was drunk at the time. Charles II was sort of like just shoved in there really reluctantly, though, wasn't he? Yeah, he was like, oh, for fuck's sake,
God,
all
fine,
right.
I'll do it.
I didn't want to. I was in France. I was happy.
I was having a great time out there, but now I've got to be here and be king, and everyone's trying to kill me.
There were baguettes. Over here, there's just rocks.
It's just right. It's all they hear is rocks. In 1662, the Act of Settlement is passed. Now, this seeks to pretty much annul anything that Cromwell had ordered and issued. A lot of it to do with land in Ireland that was taken away from sort of royalist supporters in Ireland. It was stripped away from them and given to Cromwell supporters. So Charles is trying to trying to wash away the stain of whatever Cromwell has done, get rid of all that. So he undoes all his decrees and his gifts and things like that. Now, this leaves Thomas entirely screwed. He has been given this land and this estate and all this property, and now it's all taken away from him. And he has got nothing.
This is a great period of history
That's
for
brilliant.
just of everyone just went, okay, reset, didn't happen. Everyone went,
Yeah.
we're just whitewashing over this. We're painting over it. It's fine. None of that happened.
None of that happened.
And we're like, no, there are records. We do know. That did not end well.
It did not end well. It did not end well.
Poor Colonel Blood.
Yeah, so Colonel Blood is there, and he doesn't make too much of a fuss. And yeah, a lot of sort of Cromwell supporters, yeah, they are being sort of pardoned. But he was one who was a royalist. He had sworn to protect his king. He had then changed sides
Yes.
when he saw it was going against the king, but that's not going to be forgiven.
Traitor.
He exactly. He's a traitor. He's guilty of treason. So he thinks, I've got to get out of here. I've got to go, and he returns to Ireland, where he has still got family.
Family who are none too happy, I'm
None
sure.
too happy. So back in Ireland, he rages about all these injustices that have been he has suffered, that they've been meted upon him, and he's not really alone in his grumbling. There are many others sort of Cromwell supporters who are there, who have been stripped of lands and titles and what have you, and they're all going, it's not fair, boo, woe is me, it's all dreadful.
Stepping over the broken bodies of many of their neighbours.
Yeah, but what about me?
I was promised a big shiny castle.
Exactly. What about me and all the things that I had? That was meant to be my house, and they've got nothing. So yeah, so they're all fuming and grumbling and not happy at all. So this group, they decide to fight back. We're not having this.
Okay.
We are not having this. And they don't really do things by halves. They don't just write up a petition going, we're not happy, signed all these people. They think, no, fuck it, we're going for it.
Did someone table that as an idea?
Yeah, we're going to write a strongly worded letter and see what happens.
For the last time, Clive, we're not sending them a letter. We don't have post.
Perhaps that was plan 1, 2, 3, 4, and none of that worked.
None of that
they've come to, right, we've got to take serious action. So what they're going to do, they're going to storm Dublin Castle.
Brilliant.
Smash Dublin Castle to the ground. They're going to usurp the government. They're going to kidnap the first Duke of Ormond, who is the Lord Lieutenant of Ireland. They're going to hold him for ransom, and the king is going to pay up, and he's going to pay up royally to get one of his followers, one of his governors, back safely. A bold plot, a dramatic plot. It does not go well. Colonel Blood and his comrades, they have a bit of a bad time of it. On the eve of the attack, the alarm is raised. Someone has blabbed. Someone has told the plot to the Duke, and the plotters have to flee. They leg it. A number of the collaborators are rounded up, but Thomas manages to escape. He's still got friends in the countryside. They hide him in various caves and forests and things, and eventually he's able to smuggle him over to Holland.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So the friends in the countryside, they all had farms and nice stables. Like, can I stay in that? No, in a cave with you.
Yeah, well, farms and nice stables, they're easily searched.
Yes.
It's the first place people are going to look.
You're also going to look at a cave.
Well, no, if you don't know the cave's there. It's a hidden secret cave.
Hidden secret cave.
Exactly.
Special one. They had a boulder rolled across
precisely.
it.
So, roll the boulder.
Oh, it looks dark in there. Ooh, the spiders. No.
But there's no people trying to kill you. So he is smuggled out of the country. Called at the time the Dutch Republic, as it was known at the time. Back in Ireland, the Duke of Ormond, he is outraged.
Yes.
How dare such lowly common folk, how dare they have the audacity to try and kidnap the king's representative? Don't they know who he is? He is...
I think they did.
Well, yeah, but he's livid. Absolutely livid. And under various unpleasant tortures, the men who had been captured reveal the names of all of their group. And Thomas Blood's name comes out, and £1,000 bounty is put on his head. Now that is a staggering amount of money for the capture of this fugitive.
No one's paying out £1,000 at that time. Someone finds him, brings him back. A peasant goes, "Can I have my grand, please?"
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to have his head cut off.
Well, yes, maybe so. Absolutely.
He's going to be given a groat, and they said, "That's £1,000. Off you go now."
This turnip is worth £1,000.
It's my dream
It's my
turnip.
dream turnip. The Duke then has all of these captured conspirators executed,
Of course.
in public,
Oh.
as a warning to others. How
course,
dare!
yes.
This is what happens if you try and fuck with me. I'm going to chop your head off. It is said that when Thomas Blood hears about the execution of all his friends, he swears vengeance against the Duke. He will have his revenge.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
The way you're just going, yeah. Am I believing like, oh, is this going to be a like amazing kind of revenge, or is that him just going, yeah, definitely going to do that after this piece of cake,
after this cake and this joint.
After I've tried on this lovely set of clothes and all the wonderful artistic achievements of the Dutch.
So now we're in the Dutch Republic.
We are.
And
high as a kite.
And somehow Thomas contrives a meeting with a chap, Admiral de Ruyter, a Dutch chap. I pronounce that very un-Dutchly. He has fought against the English in the Anglo-Dutch wars, and they seem to like bond over their mutual dislike of the English and the English king. Thomas is able to use the Admiral's contacts to keep an ear out about what is going on in England. Mm-hmm. The Admiral has informants and spies.
I like it.
And such like. He hears that, okay, he is not particularly in favour. The Duke is raging about this, and Thomas's name is all over the place about this man must be caught, must be executed in the most violently unpleasant ways. So Thomas is keeping an ear out to see when do things sort of die down. Because he wants to go back. He doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in Holland, as lovely as that would be.
It's lovely.
Delightful.
It's like, guys, look around.
But he's waiting to hear when things have sort of calmed down enough that he could potentially go back. Also, while in the Netherlands, he becomes associated with George Villiers, who is the second Duke of Buckingham. Now, this seems to be some sort of a mercenary relationship, really. This is not sort of a friendship. Buckingham knows of Thomas's reputation and his ability to get shit done. Mm-hmm. Thomas is not one who's afraid to get his hands dirty. Whenever one of the Duke's sort of political or even social sort of adversaries, opponents, says anything that the Duke is not happy with, they are likely to get a visit from Thomas Blood in the middle of the night. And they will not say it again.
So where is the Duke of Buckingham then?
No, he's in Holland, he's in the Netherlands as well.
Oh, he is in Holland as well?
Because, he travels around a lot. He's a bit of a he's European sort of dilettante. He travels around.
Right.
He's one of the favourites of Charles back in England. But yeah, he's currently meets him in Holland.
So he's just amassing a lot of enemies on his tour.
Yeah, on his tour, right. And he's also amassing a lot of people who will go to bat for him. And will be paid enough, and they will come out swinging. Yeah, because the Duke can't get involved in fisticuffs with these people, but he can send Thomas to go and beat the shit out of someone.
Nice,
That's absolutely fine.
Hired thugs.
Absolutely. And this allows sort of his relationship with the Admiral and with the Duke allow him to live quite a comfortable life. In 1670, so he's been in the Netherlands for 6 or 7 years or so now, so quite some time he's been there, but his contacts, the Admiral's contacts, things have started to die down. His name has not been mentioned in a while. The Duke seems to have shut up and got on with other stuff. So he thinks, officially, he's still a wanted man, but it's been so long. Is anyone really going to recognise him in the street? Unlikely. Unlikely. He's grown a big beard by now.
Huge bushy beard.
Huge bushy beard. No one's really going to recognise him at all. It's probably safe to go back. So he takes a chance. And he actually goes back to London. And he sets up as an apothecary.
Nice. Of course he does.
Using the name Aleph. Thomas Aleph. But the F's, because sometimes in sort of like oldie worldy books, the S's are written weird and they look like F's and they get transcribed as F's.
Oh, okay.
And even though they're big, they're just S's.
Yeah.
So it could be Alus.
Alias? That sounds weird.
Which sounds weird.
Alias.
So he assumes this new identity and becomes an apothecary. Though I do think Oldie Blood's apothecary is probably a better name. I think
Blood apothecary.
Blood's apothecary.
All are welcome, particularly children. Well, that's nice. He goes to London, sets up a business.
Yeah, sets up
apothecary
a business.
Sounds... that's a leap, isn't he?
Absolutely. It seems to be a leap.
Does he have but one thing on the shelf?
I don't know. Well, I could find no detail about that.
Oh my God, is he like an early weed dealer?
Very possibly. Very possibly.
I am back from Amsterdam. Guys, everyone goes, no, his stuff is great.
Yeah. So, as I say, there's not a huge amount written about his time as an apothecary. It does not last long. It does not last long. And it seems to be all a bit of a front. Really.
Shocking.
Because during his exile in the Netherlands, Colonel Blood, he has not forgotten about the Duke of Ormond. How the Duke had foiled his plans in Dublin, how he had tortured and executed his friends. The Duke is now living in London.
Oh, okay.
He has taken up residence at Clarendon House, a grand mansion
very fancy.
On Piccadilly. Now, Piccadilly at the time was not much more than a country lane, really, at the time, but fancy houses are springing up all over the place. Now the king's back.
Now the king.
All the courtiers and things, they need a fancy place in London.
Opulence.
So mansions and things are popping up all along this Piccadilly. And the Duke of Ormond is there.
That must really sting Thomas, mustn't it? Because of like his enemy who... I mean, Thomas did go after him to try and kill him. So, yes, he wants revenge, but then has killed all his friends. And he sees, oh my God, I'm in London.
Yeah.
And my greatest enemy is living in the fanciest of houses, lording it literally over everyone. God
So
damn it.
I don't know whether it's actually Ormond's appearance in London that has triggered his move back to London.
Okay.
Remembering his vengeance that he's going to get. He now knows, okay, Ormond is not in Dublin anymore. So if I go to London...
With an alias... Yeah.
I know where this man is.
Or he was just set up and then just coincidentally.
Exactly. Or it's entirely coincidental that, oh my God, he's here.
So Thomas could have just been trying to set up a lovely life as an apothecary on his own.
Yep.
Just making herbs and
then
tea.
this man from his past that he has sworn eternal vengeance against just appears.
Isn't that always the way that people you swear eternal vengeance against just turn up?
They just rock up. They just won't leave you alone.
Ugh, what is anyone supposed to do?
But now they are both in the same city. This is the time he has to take his revenge. He cannot forget about what has happened. He's going to do it.
Okay, Thomas.
Colonel Blood, he keeps the Duke under surveillance. Now, using some of his contacts from the Duke of Buckingham, he's got a bit of money behind him now. He's able to afford a bit of a gang. He's able to hire some
irregulars.
Some irregulars,
Yay!
indeed. So he's got the Duke under surveillance, and he notes that the Duke frequently returns from court to Piccadilly late at night. It's country lane at this point. It's deserted.
Oh, and he's been out gallivanting.
He's in his carriage. There may be 3 or 4 footmen with him. Or something
they're fucked.
like that. And Thomas is thinking, I don't know if I can take him.
We love the way you tried to do like a lad sort of thing, and you with your neck.
I was really laddish there.
You were really laddish. You were, I can fucking take him.
I
can take him. So he's been off gallivanting. He's got his carriage back. The footmen are running after this every night, probably, regardless of whether Colonel Blood is there. And they're like, shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, footmen are there.
But down dark country lane.
The night of the 6th of December, 1670.
Chilly,
so
cold,
middle of winter.
cold.
The Duke is travelling in his carriage along St. James's Road when Blood and his accomplices attack.
Woo.
Ormond is dragged from his coach. He is tied to one of Blood's henchmen and then taken on horseback.
Oh.
So he's put over the back of this horse, tied to one of his conspirators so he can't escape, and off they gallop.
Okay.
Along Piccadilly towards Tyburn.
That's a sight, isn't it?
They are going to hang this man. They're going to go to Tyburn Hill, where the gallows are. They're going to hang him for his crimes, what they perceive his crimes to be. They are not happy.
I love the way you add that in as an ad-lib.
I don't know why I added that in at the end. Why? End it on a good note.
You're going to hang him. Drama. They are not happy.
They are not happy.
They're not happy. Also, I will say admin, though. To go all the way to Tyburn Hill. I mean, to make a statement.
They're making a statement. What is also said that they actually pin a little notice onto his jacket, listing what they feel his crimes are and why they have done this.
That was Clive, who was the letter writer.
So, I've got my letter in. Yes, and, listing their grievances against the Duke. So this is why we hanged him. We were entirely entitled to hang this man. As they race down the street towards the gallows, one of the Duke's servants, one of his footmen, who hasn't been murdered, he is able to give chase. He gets up on one of the horses and he chases after his master, after his employer. Absolutely.
Brave.
And he absolutely hammering along, and he managed to catch up with the gang. Now, the Duke, who is over the back of the horse at this time, sort of tied up over the back of a horse.
But is he tied to the person,
he's tied to a person.
Yeah.
Who is riding, and he's on the back of a horse.
Oh, he's on the back of the person? Or because I was going to ask.
I think he's just hanging over the horse.
So he's draped over the horse, but it's also been attached to a person.
He's also been attached to the chap riding the horse.
Right.
So he can't fall off.
It's a complicated rope system.
Or run away or anything like that. So. Right. But in the frenzy, he's able to sort of work some of these bonds loose. And the Duke is able to free himself. And when the servant catches up with him, he is able to drag the Duke off this horse.
Oh my God.
And pull him onto his own horse, and the pair gallop away.
That's amazing.
A fantastic rescue.
This footman
by this servant.
He is the hero. And also, he's just a footman. You would just basically go, "This is none of my business."
I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, couldn't do anything. Gonna go and get a piece of pie.
Yeah.
And, written down.
Deeply loyal to his master.
God.
And he is able to rescue him, and they gallop off into the night together and live happily ever after.
I like the idea that we painted this beautiful, a heroic chase down Piccadilly. Is that they galloped off a bit, he fell off the back, and a footman picked him up and went, "Run!"
Just leg it. Go up the tree.
Who was in charge of tying the knots? You tied him to yourself. You're tied up. He's not. I got confused.
You're tied to the horse. Him, no.
I'm not going to fall off the horse. That wasn't the point.
There is outrage, fury at court.
No.
That the Duke should be subjected to such an outrage. Once again, Thomas Blood evades capture, despite the offer of a huge reward. No one comes forward. No one is really sure who it was. So Thomas Blood is never really the finger's never pointed at him. But in front of the king, the Duke's son, a chap also called Thomas, accuses the Duke of Buckingham of being behind the attempt.
Your man who's been travelling through Holland.
Exactly. Who
has made friends with Blood.
Yeah, who's made friends with Blood. So obviously there is some animosity between Buckingham and Ormond. So the Duke of Ormond's son blames the Duke of Buckingham for this kidnapped attempt. He vows to shoot Buckingham on sight for this outrage, this slight to his family. Now, it is actually entirely possible that sort of Thomas Blood is acting on Buckingham's instructions. Buckingham has given him this task. As I say, Buckingham and Ormond, they are fierce political rivals. They do not like each other. It's more than likely that Buckingham knew of Thomas Blood's vendetta
and probably was funding him.
Ormond. So he was going, right, okay, I don't like the man, you don't like the man, here's a big pile of cash.
Exactly. Yeah, go hire whoever you need to. I like the fact the son is gone before the king. I will shoot this man on the side, and the king is like, I have enough shit to be dealing with right now. Fine.
You crack on, dear. You crack on.
Carry on. He just leans over to his aide. Is he really actually going to shoot that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thomas is now in hiding again. Still harbours deep resentment and anger against the king, against the Duke. They have ruined his life. They have left him penniless, and all of his attempts at revenge and retribution have been thwarted and not come off.
And his apothecary shop has fallen to bits.
His apothecary shop has fallen to shit. Nothing's going well. So he comes up with yet another plan.
New plan.
Big plan.
He's a man of big plans.
This is a plan that is going to make him rich. It's going to humiliate the king. He's going to steal the crown jewels.
No, he's not. No.
And it's a good time for a break.
I think that needs another drink. Well, Nick, we have our drinks. I have another drink.
You have another drink.
I improvised.
I'm still on the bijou.
You're still on the bijou. Thank God. Because if you drunk them by now, I'd be very worried.
Yeah.
Okay.
On to the jewels.
The jewels!
The jewels. So very shiny. The shiny jewels.
They are very famously shiny.
They are famously shiny.
Have you ever been to see the crown jewels?
I have as a kid, yes. I remember going to the Tower of London as a family trip. But it's been a good 30 years or so.
Yeah, I think I saw them as a kid. Because I remember going into a darkened room and they're in a big fucking case of...
I haven't been to the Tower of London for years and years and years.
Oh, see, I have been to the Tower of London recently, like within the last 5 years. Lovely day. Did not queue or pay for the crown jewels. The queue...
Oh, I imagine it's...
round the block. Yeah. But Tower of London, great. The beefeaters there, they are freaking hilarious.
There's one particular chap who...
Yeah.
Someone's put on YouTube.
Yes.
He's brilliant.
When he introduces to people, they do the tours
of things, and he's hilariously funny.
They are brilliant, and the ravens, oh my God, there's a big castle and there's ravens that come up to you. I am there. The ravens are wonderful, and they just like sit and chat to you.
The ravens are nailed to the spot.
Well, they cannot leave.
If they leave, England will fall.
England will fall, and they know that, and they will use that shit against you. But yes, the crown jewels.
Crown jewels.
Crown jewels.
Most of the original royal sort of regalia and fancy bits had all been melted down by Cromwell and sold off to fund all the promises he had made during his rule. I think to this day there's like 2 or 3 pieces in the current crown jewels that are left from before this time. There's a spoon or something because there's a spoon.
One.
There's a spoon that dates back to like Edward the Confessor or something, and it's used for like anointing with the oil thing during coronations.
I thought you meant in the crown.
No, in the crown. the crown made of spoons.
Just in the middle of the crown. One
There's
lone
a
spoon. I mean, I don't see why you should also include the spoon in the crown jewels.
It's part of the royal shenanigans.
Is it? Is it?
Well, it's made of 1 billion carat gold and it's got diamonds in it and stuff. That's like 1,000 years old or something. It's one of the few things that survived Cromwell.
Okay. Okay, what have we got left? We have this spoon.
Leave the
holding
spoon.
it up in the air. The spoon will guide us.
Spoon of destiny.
How did I not know there was a spoon in this?
Yeah, they use. Oh, you'll see it on next month. Coronation of Charlie Boy.
Are they going to use?
Yeah.
Oh, the oil.
It's used for the anointing of the oil and stuff like that.
Right. Oh, I get you. I get
Yeah.
you now. Sorry, I am just picturing a teaspoon that is in the crown. Well,
Anyway.
I've never seen a fucking coronation. I don't know.
So Cromwell, he was very much against such things.
He didn't like the spoons.
He didn't like anything too sparkly, really.
He thought the spoon will be practical. We'll keep that.
We'll keep the spoon. I like my tea. I'll keep the spoon. But when monarchy is re-established, King Charles the Second, he goes, no, I like my spoons. I like my big sparkly crowns. He replaces everything. Costs an absolute fortune. He sort of mortgages most of the country to get the funds to replace all the regalia, the crowns and the scepters and the what have you for his coronation. There is no such thing as a cheap alternative or a stand-in or none of that. So you've got like the new St. Edward's crown. £5 of solid gold, diamonds, precious stones, the Black Prince's ruby stuck in the middle there. You have the scepter, again, solid gold, the sovereign's orb, gold ball studded with pearls and a big old diamond on the top. What else have you got? Oh, there's an amethyst on there as well. Why not? Chuck an amethyst in it. You've got jewelled swords.
Oh, yeah.
Some jewelled swords. You've got staffs. You've got rings with diamonds bigger than your face in them. You've got 10 gold maces that are carried by the Sergeant of Arms during the coronation ceremony.
I mean, it's bougie, but I like
It's
it.
desperately bougie. And all of this stuff is stored in a basement room at the Tower of London. So back then, there's no tourists around. It's just, I'll chuck it in the basement. It's
Just
fine.
there, next to a leak.
Yeah, exactly.
Drip.
Used to be an old dungeon. No one goes in there.
There's someone still chained up against the wall going, oh, those are nice.
Now, the keeper of the jewels at this time, he's an old soldier. He's an old soldier by the name of Talbot Edwards.
Right.
Is his name. He has this role of guarding the room. It is not glamorous. It is not well paid. It's not particularly fancy. And it is completely accepted that if the odd passing tourist happened to grease his palms with a coin or two, he would go, come on then, come and have a look. And he would open up the door and let these people have a look at all the crown jewels. They were still behind like a big old metal grate.
Yeah.
So you couldn't just pick them up and go, oh, look, I'm a king.
I think we can also agree that Talbot not only would accept money for whatever, but also Talbot definitely put on the crown jewels.
Oh, God, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
danced around singing show tunes.
Absolutely. He's there putting all the different crowns on.
Yep, absolutely. Draping himself, walking around with the scepter, just walking up and down the dungeon.
There's crowns and coronets and diadems and tiaras and all sorts. He's like, wears different one each day, guarding outside. He's having a grand time. He's
People
loving
paid
life.
extra to come in and see him modelling them.
Now, Colonel Blood, he hears about Talbot Edwards.
And he's jealous. He's jealous of the crowns.
This little side hustle that he's got going on. And again, he is a good one for plans. He puts a plan in motion. In the spring of 1671, he disguises himself as an Anglican clergyman. Full cassock, big hat, the lot. And he enlists an actress to pose as his lady wife. The two imposters make their way to the Tower of London. There they meet with Talbot Edwards, and a few coins exchange hands, and they go and see the crown jewels. Say, they're kept behind this metal grate in this room protected by this big reinforced door. Talbot opens the door, can't take the grate down, can't unlock the grate, absolutely, but you can look through there. Oh, how glorious, how lovely. On cue, Thomas's wife, inverted commas, fakes sudden illness. She drops to the floor, collapses.
Love it.
The concerned guard. He invites the lady, come up to my apartments. He lives in a rooms just above the basement to recover. His wife is upstairs. She'll look after you, take care of you till you feel well enough.
Oh, I bet Talbot does invite her upstairs. He knows an opportunity. But that's a classic con, isn't it?
Yeah. So come upstairs, and they gratefully accept. So Thomas Blood and whoever this woman is, absolutely, thank you so much. You're very, very kind. Parson Blood, as he is pretending to be.
Nice.
So he profusely thanks Talbot for his charity, his kindness, his generosity for his ailing wife. Once Mrs. Blood, whoever Mrs. Blood may be.
They haven't decided on the name.
No, she's just Mrs. Blood. She has sufficiently recovered. The pair leave, thanking the Edwards. Edwards' wife has helped her, has given her some lovely tea, maybe some soup, which is delightful.
Is this embellishment that you're putting in there?
How do you know? It's because I go off and it goes
and soup.
Random.
And you go, thank you. Please,
Thank you.
leave me alone.
Thank you.
Leave me alone.
Yes.
Thank you. No, please, let me know my
Go
hand.
away. A few days later, Thomas returns to the tower and presents Mrs. Edwards with 4 pairs of white gloves. A gift for their generous hospitality.
Oh, that's lovely.
The thanks for helping him and his wife in their time of need. Over the following weeks, Thomas Blood ingratiates himself into the lives of Mr. and Mrs. Edwards.
Mrs. Edwards always wanted to be a mime.
They become firm friends.
They did.
Charades are a speciality. It is agreed that Thomas's entirely fictional nephew will marry their daughter. Absolutely.
What?
So, Mr. and Mrs. Edwards, you have a lovely, beautiful daughter. I have a fantastic nephew. That you will be pleased with the match, they say. He's due an inheritance. He's got good prospects. This is how such matches are made.
Yes. The daughter's going, what?
The daughter has no say in it.
Oh, no, she has no say in anything. She's going, I have gloves. That's all I need.
Yeah, exactly. She's a lady. She has no say in these things. And they go, yes, okay, bring the young man to the tower for dinner. We will introduce them. Whether they like it or not, they're going to get married. So on the 9th of May, 1671, Thomas arrives at the Edwards apartments in the Tower of London.
Right.
With his son, Thomas, who is playing the nephew. He's also got 2 friends of his, a Robert Perrott and a Richard Halliwell. Now, they are also posing as men of the cloth. Frocks, big hats. While they wait for dinner, Mrs. Edwards is preparing the dinner, Thomas persuades Talbot to give his nephew and his friends a quick look at the crown jewels downstairs. Let's just go and have a look.
Oh my goodness.
It's very exciting. Let's go and see the shiny
They're
things.
young and they just want a little
They
peek.
just want to have a look. Now, Talbot agrees. Absolutely.
Of
What's the harm?
course.
They're soon. They are all to be one big, happy family. They're men of God. What's going to go wrong? What's going to go wrong? A lot is going to go wrong. So as soon as Talbot unlocks this big reinforced door and heaves it aside, they strike. The gang strike. From under the robes come an arsenal of daggers and pistols and mallets and all sorts, and they ambush the old man. They beat him to the ground.
Oh, no, that's not funny.
They stuff a gag in his mouth, put a sack over his head.
Oh.
Thomas then takes a wooden mallet, which he's been hiding under his robe, and smashes it down over Talbot's head, before finally stabbing the old soldier in the belly.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, absolutely. It's dramatic.
The only reason I was laughing is that they all turned up in cassocks and everything, but they must have been moving very slowly.
Very slowly and bending down very gingerly.
Yes, but all of the weapons underneath them going, yes, hello, I've hurt my back.
I can't possibly sit down.
No, I can't because I'm worried.
Now, the guard is out of the way. This chap, Talbot, is out of the way. He's not dead, but he's writhing around on the ground, entirely incapacitated. He is no longer a threat. The gang tear this metal grate that protects the jewels out of the wall. Now, all this regalia is too bulky to hide easily and to move around unencumbered with. So Colonel Blood takes his mallet and he smashes it down on the crown, completely flattening it pretty much to plate, really, so he can stuff it inside his robes.
Okay.
His son gets to work sawing the state scepter in half.
What? What tools do they have?
A lot of things in these robes. Robert Perrot stuffs the royal orb down his britches.
and you know that he insisted on doing that.
that's not coming apart at all. That's going right down there.
Right down there. No one's going to notice. Any opportunity for a guy to go, stuff it down your pants.
Possibly some sort of bag may have been in order. But where's the fun in that?
There probably was a massive bag there. You can put it in there. You go, nope.
You put a sack over the guard's
package.
head. Use a sack. You've got a sack. But no, put it down your trousers. The real crown jewels.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Just as they are preparing to leave, Richard Halliwell, one of the gang who has been standing watch, he raises the alarm. Talbot's son, Wythe, has unexpectedly returned home and is looking for his father.
Right.
Talbot, he's still on the floor, bag on his head, but he is hearing what is happening. He's able to spit out the gag from his mouth and he yells, "Murder, treason, the crown is stolen."
Ooh.
Before he collapses to the floor again.
Articulate.
Yeah, absolutely. Gets the point across.
Yeah.
Thomas and the gang run.
They don't run.
It.
The guy with the fucking scepter down his pants.
He waddles,
going, here's my package. It's going to hang down the trousers, and he is going to be running at a slow pace at best with chafing.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a lot of orbs going on down there now, so...
The others are like, leave him for dead.
Leave him for dead. He wanted an orb down his pants. That's his lookout. But they leg it as fast as their orbs can carry them.
The gold can carry them.
They have another man, William Smith. He is waiting with horses by the gate to the tower. If they can just make it to the gate, if they can make it to the horses, they will get lost in the streets of London.
Of course.
No one is going to find them. The alarm has been raised. Now the whole castle is coming to life and the guards are now in hot pursuit. Now Thomas Blood, he has never wanted to go down without a fight. He draws his pistols and he fires. He wounds one of the tower guards that's giving chase. He almost makes it to his horse. But right at the last minute, he is tackled by one of the guards, Captain Beckman. Ooh. Tackles Thomas Blood. The crushed crown flies across the courtyard. Diamonds and precious stones ping off all over the place.
Nice.
None of the men escape. They are all rounded up, and what remains of the battered jewels are recovered.
Wow.
Colonel Blood is dragged back into the towers in chains. He is interrogated about this mad plan to steal the jewels, but Thomas, he loses none of his bluster, none of his arrogance. He stubbornly announces that he would only answer to the king himself.
Ooh.
Bizarrely, the king agrees to this audience.
Nice.
The king says, yeah, all right, I want to see this nutter.
The king is bored.
The king is bored. He's got nothing better to do. Thomas Blood is brought before Charles II in chains. I've written Charles III.
I know, I was going to say, it's now.
So that's like, he is questioned by the king, by Prince Rupert, the Duke of York. Many others of the royal household are there. Pretty much nothing is known about that conversation, though that questioning what happened. Supposedly, the rumours say that Thomas confesses to his crimes. He gives the king a boisterous and lively account of his life, what he's been up to. He even admits that once he had planned to shoot Charles while the king was bathing in a river. But he says apparently he lost his nerve after finding himself in awe of His Majesty. When he spied His Majesty in the river, he was so taken aback by wonder that he could not shoot.
A story given by the king there going, yeah, he was going to kill me, but he fell in love with me.
He fell in love with me.
Immediately.
Apparently, when he was asked what he would do if he were given his freedom, what would you do? He replies he would endeavour to deserve it. I like that reply.
It's a nice phrase. It's nice and ambiguous.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well. It's like, I would endeavour to deserve it.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to promise I will.
But I will try.
I will try. I will try to be a very good person.
Now, Thomas's crimes are more than enough to earn him a traitor's death.
Yeah.
He could easily be executed for treason. No one would bat an eyelid. But within a few days of his meeting with the king, Thomas Blood is not only pardoned...
What?
He is given lands in Ireland for him and his family.
What did Thomas Blood do to the king?
So,
What did he do? Like, the king walked out going, he was so enamored with the sight of me while naked. Thomas Blood did some shit in that room. He got on his knees and he showed how faithful he was to the crown.
now, the Duke of Ormond, when he hears this, he is livid.
Oh, he's still fucking around, isn't he?
He's still fucking around, and he is furious that this man, I mean, he doesn't know about the kidnap attempt, but he knows Thomas Blood was responsible for the one on Dublin Castle years before, and he is furious that this man, he's been caught, he's in chains in the tower, and the king has gone, oh, right, then go on.
You go on, you sexy
you
rogue,
and your
you.
scoundrel ways. Off you go. So he is absolutely, and most of society, most of the court is going, what the fuck are you playing at, Mr. King? What's going on there? Now, obviously, rumours fly around court.
Do they?
Some have suggested that the king was fearful of the revenge of Thomas's followers if Thomas were to be executed.
Nah.
Thomas was not that fancy. He was not that big of a deal.
He had hired hands.
He had hired hands. No one's who's going to try and revenge him after his death. Others say that the king is simply amused by Thomas's audacity, by the balls on this guy for doing that, and then demanding he will only speak to the king. And the king's going, all right, fair play. Good for you, mate.
Well, he knows he can catch him, I guess.
So some people think...
Also, the stupidity we have to hone in on right now is these guys were carrying a shitload of gold and ran a little bit across the towers of London and were caught instantly because gold is heavy, people. It's heavy. And so he was like, he's probably thinking like, yeah, fucking try whatever you want. You won't get far.
Well,
Go on. I am bored.
others also say that it was the Duke of Buckingham, so Thomas's sort of
the
patron,
influence,
who has pulled some strings, has done some dealings and get Thomas off scot-free. We don't know.
No.
Whatever the reason, Thomas is set free. He becomes a familiar sight around court.
Yay.
He starts working as an enforcer for the crown, as a spy. He becomes known as England's most celebrated rogue. In 1679, his luck does run out. He has a bit of a dispute with his former patron, the Duke of Buckingham.
Oh,
He says some unwise things about the Duke, apparently, in public, and the Duke finds out and the Duke sues him for £10,000.
Said you make a very poor orange sauce.
Yeah, he says horrible things about the Duke's character, and the Duke is not at all happy about this and sues. Now, obviously, Thomas is found guilty of such slander, but of course he's unable to pay. Who on earth could pay £10,000 in 1679? No
Nobody.
one could. No. Indeed. So he is imprisoned.
Oh.
For this crime, and while in prison he falls ill. He is released about a year later, but he is still desperately ill. He falls into a coma and he never recovers. He dies on the 24th of August 1680. Now, such was his reputation for trickery that after his burial his body was exhumed to make sure it really was him. And that he hadn't faked his death to get out of paying his debts to the Duke. But it really was him. He was definitely dead. And he was reburied under a headstone that supposedly read,
Yeah.
"Here lies the man who boldly hath run through more villainies than England ever knew."
Oh my God.
The story of Colonel Blood.
Yay! Oh, what a man! What a story!
What a man! What a man!
I know that is a great story for someone who didn't really actually kill anybody,
No.
but was just a bit of a
I don't
rogue.
think Talbot Edward survived his
No,
beating
no.
and his stabbing. So there was death involved.
Is it just me? Did I hone in on the last bit of that story with Thomas Blood, Colonel Blood,
Colonel Blood.
saying things about the Duke of Buckingham, who had supported him a lot, and he said that slandered 10 grand. How bad
Yeah.
could be the thing that he'd said?
He must have said some dreadful shit.
There's a lot of stuff went on. I don't know.
There's a lot went on there. That I don't know.
Charles really was a fan.
Charles was a fan. Charles thought it was great.
Thought he was great.
Thought it was great. Had to have such a sort of this scoundrel on his books that you could call upon to go and do this crazy stuff.
I will only speak to the king. The king turns up and goes, well, he's fucking mental.
he's mad, but what a jolly good laugh.
Yeah, absolutely, because we've caught you many, many times. At the end of the day, you can paint him as a rogue and like, oh my God, what a villain. He was caught a lot and talked his way around it.
Yeah, well, exactly. He talked his way around it.
Talked his way around it, but...
Just you crack on, mate.
Oh,
You're
my
having a
goodness.
fun time.
The rivalry with the Irish Duke, the Duke of Ormond, like, that guy was bitter to the end.
Yeah, the Duke was not happy. He was not a happy chap.
Yeah. It's nice to go from petty rivalries. I suppose they're like, high society rivalries, but still seemingly petty rivalries on whatever class you want to deem them, to just, I'm going to steal the crown jewels.
I'm going to steal the crown jewels. Yeah, absolutely.
And a great plot. Befriend the people
Absolutely.
guarding the jewels.
I mean, that was a cunning plan. That was a long term. That went on for like 3 or 4 weeks or so of planning.
And I cannot fault that. I cannot fault that bit. The one bit I would have added was a horse.
Well, the horse was there outside the gates.
Yep, fuck it. No, have some other pulley system to the horse, because you cannot carry that much gold and diamonds and jewels and just run.
It was a flattened crown, a scepter, and an orb.
Okay, a flattened crown. It still weighs as much as a fucking crown.
Yeah,
it still weighs as much as a fucking
absolutely.
crown.
I think the idea was that they would just sort of like saunter out. They would just casually walk out.
Yes, the man swinging his balls. Like, these are just how my balls work. Everyone walking, crawling at a snail's pace out, going, nothing to see here. Everything's perfectly fine. A flattened crown also would be massive.
Damn Wycliffe on his early home visit, discovering such tomfoolery.
Came home and saw some weird shit.
There's a lot of weird stuff.
And all he did was ring a bell, going, "Can the guards come in here? Because these guys very slowly are stealing the crown,
please.
stealing the crown jewels." What an amazing story! And well deserving of season 4. Well, what do you think, people? What do you think of our delicious rogue, the Colonel Blood? What do you think of his various methods of revenge, of just living and existing? What do you think was really going on with all the partnerships there? Charles II was just turning up and doing stuff.
I mean, what went on in that meeting with the king?
What went on?
I want to know.
What? Did he juggle a lot?
Yeah. Who knows?
Did he do the thumb trick or something?
What went on in the something sneaky went on in that room.
We will take suggestions. Please jump on the comments of wherever you listen to this episode and tell us your thoughts, your theories. But most importantly, you must mix up a drink to enjoy with this episode. If you haven't already, if you're not already drunk, because we are.
Speak for yourself, dear.
Nick will always recommend.
I will always recommend the Bijou. Absolutely. It's bloody gorgeous. It's lovely. Sinead hates it.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that. Can't lie. Can't argue with that.
If you're not a fan of the green chartreuse, do not go near this. If you're not a fan of the herby stuff, it hits bad. But we've discovered another cocktail by accident.
Who would have thought it? 2 cocktails this week.
The Banana Boulevardier.
Banana Boulevardier.
An absolute beauty.
And quite fun to say.
Banana Boulevardier.
Banana Boulevardier.
It's fun to say when we can say it. Mix up a drink wherever you are. Send us pictures of any of the cocktails you are enjoying. Thank you to everyone who has been sending us cocktail pictures from around the world. We love to see them, especially the menus. Send us the menus of any cocktail bar you go to. We like to see how people can ruin things. If you haven't already, please leave us a review on Apple iTunes or anywhere else you listen to your podcast. It really, really helps the show and we really, really appreciate it. And come and find us on Patreon if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisoner's Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.